All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to continue our lesson with what we were discussing this week, and that was 5.OA.2. And what that is looking at the order of operations. Okay. Again, you're going to see this throughout the school year, but we're just going to touch upon it today and dive a little bit deeper into what the actual order of operations is. Now, being able to write and interpret a numerical expression in order to explain and model a real-world situation. There, of course, is the chart that is discussing what exactly the order of operation is. It is a particular word that's called PEMDAS. What PEMDAS is, it takes the first letter of a few words and forms, of course, PEMDAS. It's kind of like an acronym. And the letters are rather parentheses, exponents, multiply or multiplication, division, addition, as well as subtraction. Okay, and as I mentioned, we're going to dive into this today and continue with it tomorrow. Okay, all right. So one thing I want you to take a look at is this particular problem. Just read it as I read it aloud. Mr. North's Music Club writes a song together. Each verse of the song has 6 lines, and each chorus has 2 lines. If the song has 4 verses and choruses, how many lines does the song have in all? It says draw a visual model to show you the problem, and then, of course, explain your reasoning. So first, before I go ahead and do anything, we have to make sense of what we read, okay? So I'm going to highlight a particular areas that is good to know. Again, I'm going to read it, and as I read it, I'm going to identify certain things we need to take out from it. Mr. North's Music Club writes a song together. Each verse of the song has 6 lines, and each chorus has 2 lines. If the song has 4 verses and 4 choruses, how many lines does the song have in all? Okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and make sense of this. Or draw a visual model to show the problem. Okay, I know that there's a music club, they're writing a song together. Each verse of the song has 6 lines. So what I could do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with that, I could say, okay, 1 verse equals 6 lines. Okay. I also can then say, okay, along with that, each chorus has 2 lines. So 1, 2. So 1 chorus equals 2 lines. All right, so now explain the reasoning. Well, the reasoning, ladies and gentlemen, that we can get from this is simply the number of lines in each verse and chorus is 6 plus 2, which of course could also be 8, right? So 6 plus 2 does equal 8. So that's taking each verse of the song, 6 lines, each chorus, 2 lines, forming the song. So since the song has 4 verses and choruses, the song therefore would be 4 times 8, or also known as 32. The song would end up having 32 lines because 4 times 8 equals 32. Another way you could look at this is if the song has 4 verses and choruses, and we know that each verse and chorus is 6 plus 2, we could say it could be 4 times 6 as well as 4 times 2. Well, 4 times 6 would be 24. 4 times 2 would be 8. 24 plus 8 also gives you 32. So that's kind of using the distributive property with what we learned on Monday, and we talked a little bit more yesterday, and now we're diving a little bit deeper today, okay? All right, so let's keep moving then. Build understanding, okay? So we have a club. A club is making a music video. A group of 12 singers perform the first verse. And we, of course, see the group right there. 3 different groups of 6 singers perform the other three verses. Okay, fine. The numerical expression 12 plus 3 times 6 models the situation. Thankfully, the numerical expression was given to us. Now, I had asked today, what is a numerical expression, right? A numerical expression, if you remember yesterday's notes and the definition, a numerical expression is a mathematical phrase that has numbers and operation signs. It needs both of those for it to be a numerical expression. Here we see that. We see numbers, and we also see, ladies and gentlemen, we see signs. Oh, let me get my pen. That would be helpful. Okay? We see signs there. All right, so how many singers are making the music video? That's the final question we have to answer. But first, let's go through this. A, which operations are modeled in the numerical expression? Well, I just circled them for you. We have addition. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why it is so helpful to take out the information, indicate certain things that they're talking about. And multiplication. Right? A plus sign. And then we also have the X for multiplication, right? Cool. B, when you evaluate the numerical expression, which operation should be done first? And how do you know? Well, that goes back to PEMDAS. Now we're really getting into PEMDAS and what PEMDAS really is. So I'm going to write it up here. P-E-M-D-A-S. Now, what you're going to notice, ladies and gentlemen, is that the M and the D are grouped together, and the A and the S are grouped together. And I'm going to explain that in a few minutes. But knowing that, it's parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So to answer this question, when you evaluate the numerical expression, which is what we saw before, 12 plus 3 times 6, I'm going to write that here. 12 plus 3 times 6. That's what they gave us. Which operation should you do first? And how do you know? Well, according to PEMDAS, and as we learn it, multiplication will have to be done first before addition. Okay? And how do you know? Well, the order of operations says that multiplication is performed before addition. Okay? Now, I want to show you this. If I were to solve this, 12 plus 3 times 6, and I went ahead and I did the 12 plus 3 first, right? If I did that, I would get 15, and then I would have 15 times 6. Well, 15 times 6, ladies and gentlemen, is 90. Okay? And that is 100% incorrect based on the rules for the order of operations. Now, 100%, ladies and gentlemen, I guaranteed if this was a question on a test, 90 would be one of the answers. Why? Because they know students would do that. Okay? The real way to solve this, 12 plus 3 times 6, based on learning the order of operations, you must do multiplication first, of which then you will get 18. And here you would have 12 plus 18, which equals 30. Two totally different answers, okay? But again, that's with understanding and knowing the order of operations, which you will, okay? C, it says describe how to evaluate 12 plus 3 times 6. Well, I kind of just showed you there. So how can we interpret that? First, multiply 3 and 6. Then add 12 and 18. That's how we would evaluate. Another word for evaluate is basically to solve it. Evaluate or solve the numerical expression, which is the mathematical phrase that has numbers and operation signs. Evaluate it, solve it, then explain what your answer means in this situation. So we just solved it already. So the answer, of course, is 30. And what does that mean? That means that 30 different singers will appear in the music video. I'm just going to write music vid for short. All right, the music video. Okay? How many singers are making the music video then? 30 singers. And notice, ladies and gentlemen, how I am answering each question. I'm answering the question fully based upon what they are looking for. Okay? So, first we looked at a numerical expression. We needed to interpret it. We need to figure out what to do first and then go ahead and solve it. What's going to end up happening is we're going to see the equation, and we need to, of course, follow the order of operations in order to then solve it correctly. All right? So I want you to take a look at this. Okay? Should be coming up soon. Here we go. Okay? On the left-hand side, connect to vocabulary. To evaluate a numerical expression means to find its value by carrying out all of its operations in the correct order. What I would like you to, of course, copy down is this definition right here. What the order of operations means. The order of operations is a set of rules for evaluating a numerical expression. Okay? Then I want you to go ahead and copy down what you see there, the order of operations, PEMDAS. And notice, ladies and gentlemen, right here, the M and the D is grouped together, and then separately is A and the S. Now, what I mentioned to the students is this, okay? Multiplication and division are like brother and sister. Addition and subtraction are like brother and sister. But addition and subtraction are the cousins of multiplication and division, okay? They're linked in some way, right? In order to multiply, you do repeated addition. In order to divide, you would do repeated subtraction. It just takes longer if you do it that way, right? So multiplying and dividing is much shorter. Now I want you to listen very carefully while I explain this, okay? PEMDAS is parentheses. You must solve whatever. It does not matter the operation, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Whatever is inside of a parentheses, you need to solve that first. Get rid of the parentheses. Now, thankfully, in 5th grade, you do not have to worry about exponents. That comes later on in middle school, I believe 6th grade, okay? So you don't need to worry about exponents right now. Then we have multiply and divide. And in parentheses, you see they're left to right. Now, we typically, when we read a book or we solve a problem, a mathematical problem or whatever, we do it from left to right, okay? So if you see an equation like you saw before, we start reading it from left to right. Whatever comes first, multiply or divide. You are allowed to divide before you multiply. It's okay. Why? Because they're basically the opposite of each other, right? They're brother and sister. Okay. You can do subtract before you do addition, depending which one comes first from left to right. However, and notice in the yellow there, it says you do not do addition and subtraction before multiplication or division unless it is in parentheses. Okay? That's the only time you would do that before adding, before multiplying or dividing. Other than that, if division comes before multiplication, you can divide. If subtraction comes before addition, you can subtract. But you cannot add or subtract before you multiply or divide. So it's basically a way of working yourself down from a large equation, working it down until you get a final answer. Okay? So again, please pause the video at any time so you can get this information down. Tomorrow, of course, we will look more at numerical expressions and evaluate them or solve them, right? And I want you to get a better understanding of this stuff because, like I said, you're going to see this with multiple operations as we go throughout this school year. All right? As always, I wish you all the best. Okay, work hard, strive for greatness. Until next time.